Hey everyone, Heather K. Margolis here with Channel Maven and Spark Your Channel. I'm so excited today. Our guest speaks and works and integrates in the world of incentives and promotions and all of these things that really we pull together when we talk about an end-to-end solution around enabling your partners. So Courtney, thank you so much for joining. Would you introduce yourself to our audience?
Of course, Heather. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to join you today. I'm Courtney Acuff, and I am Ansira's solution lead overseeing channel program design and channel data management. And basically, that just means that I've got my hands in every single channel program across all of our client verticals, from auto to QSR to tech and beyond.
And really, when you say data, you're not kidding. I mean, it's every possible touch point, not just with the partner, but then with the partner and their customer.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about how evolved and the amount of not only the touch points, but the metrics, the client metrics that are important, the partner metrics that are important as a part of programs, it's vast, and it's also really messy. So, depending on how many partner platform technologies are enabling a program, you've got disparate data sources, you've got partner data, you've got client data, you've got sales data. So yeah, really working to connect the dots and bring it all together so that it's insightful. The aim is that, programs can sometimes get set and then forgotten.
Right.
So
set it and forget it. We remember
really,
the infomercial.
Right. Right. So the idea is really to connect those dots so that the programs are evolving based on real insights and an understanding about how the programs are performing for the partners and for the enterprise clients.
Right. Right. So the reason we're talking today, we want to talk a little bit more about getting into the mindset and the behaviors of your partners, because if you incentivize a partner at point of sale, first of all, they were going to sell it anyway, right? You didn't get them to that point, potentially a large percentage of them, but also you're not enabling them to build habits and behaviors for the long term. So talk to me a little bit about, not from a product standpoint, but talk to me a little bit around the mindset of helping partners improve their behaviors.
Yeah. So first and foremost, partners are people. And I think we sometimes forget that, right? So everything that we do as humans in our everyday life outside of our work life, that actually trickles in our subconscious to how a partner expects to kind of interact with a client that they're selling services or products on behalf of. It trickles into the ways in which they expect things to work and the way that they expect to be rewarded. So I think first and foremost, it's really taking a step back to say, oh, my partners are people. They've got, motivations and behaviors and, likes and dislikes, and frankly, other challenges in running their business and in their personal lives. So partners are people. That's the first place to start.
I love that. And it's the first time that I think I've talked about incentives and talked about them as having personal lives. Like if your incentive is pushing a partner to launch an account-based marketing campaign, and that partner doesn't even have SEO on their website or doesn't even have LinkedIn activity happening, you're jumping them too far, and they're not going to be successful, and they're going to be frustrated. So what are some things you have done or you have seen that can help our listeners, the vendors, get their partners to a place where they're improving, but that they're not jumping so far that they are just going to miss?
Yeah. So, if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. So I do think that the first thing on, the vendor side, when you're thinking about your partners, take a step back to really think about the type of brand partner relationship you're looking for. And you want your partners to step back and say, wow, this is a really innovative program. This is a really interesting way that I can engage with my vendors and their products and services that I haven't had the opportunity to do before. And it also is a way in which both entities benefit, right? More sales is the result. And I think that then when you switch to the partner side and take a look at it through their perspective, they want to participate in a program where they feel now like the benefit is throughout. So, for so long, we've just based incentives on sales, right? And that was it. If you hit the sales goal or the quota, that was kind of it. If we think about how these types of programs can evolve and think about like the micro steps that you could take to create behavior changes. If you think about just even the incentive type option, I might be interested in a very different incentive than you are. Or if you're looking at a group of partners, there might be something that is more meaningful to them than another group of partners. And then, if you look at it too from kind of the end goal, are there steps that they need to take to actually get to be able to sell that product or service? How about incentivizing them across that journey?
I absolutely love that. And one quick thing, you're absolutely right on what incentives work for certain people. I recently received the incentive of a Beer of the Month Club membership. Well, I'm gluten-free and I don't like beer. If it were Wine of the Month, we would totally be talking. But
right.
Yeah, you absolutely have to make sure that you have a plethora of options to incent different humans, because again, partners are people. But talking about your micro behaviors, some of those we certainly shout from the rooftops, both at Channel Maven and at Spark, where we're saying use video, connect with prospects on LinkedIn, start posting long form posts. What are some other micro behaviors that you're really trying to influence your partners to take part in?
Yeah, I think that not only those that you mentioned, but it's things like certifications. It's things like new activity types. It's things like, ways in which they might introduce multi-solutions or bundle products and services together that they might not have done before. So there's a training aspect in that to complete that might be different than a full level certification process.
Right.
So all of those things go to build then being able to partake in programs whereby you're driving that activity and they're posting on LinkedIn and they're engaging in long form content and they're building more of that engagement through those touch points. But first they have to have the knowledge to be able to do that in the first place.
What do you think, certainly if you say you have an incentive to do X, but the partner doesn't actually know how to do X, talk to me a little bit about how you suggest our listeners enable those partners to do those things that are then going to get the partners incentives as well.
Training is an aspect that should be a part of every single program touch point. And again, every part of every single program touch point. So I think that we should never underestimate the value of just putting out really clear program guidelines, following up those program guidelines with training material, whether that's video, whether that's written, whether that's actually live type of webinar environments that they can attend. And then I think it's the ongoing support, which is also one of those areas that often kind of gets left as an afterthought. But as more partners participate in an incentive program, as you evolve an incentive program to, again, really drive more behaviors that you want to become habits, you need to support the partners across that journey. So you can't just leave them to their own devices after you've kind of rolled out the program and been like, oh, yep, here it is for the taking.
You're done.
Right. How do you make sure that, and again, back to sort of our opening comment around really driving a program that treats partners as people, think about all of the experiences that you have in the world today with multiple touch points, in person, online, through chat, through just self-discovery and knowledge-based ways that you get answers to your questions. Partners are the same. So, you can't just have like an email box, a generic email box. And sometimes I'm not going to pick up the phone as a partner and call someone because I don't have time to sit on a call line. Or it's 11:30 at night and I just got the kids to bed and now I'm trying to focus on something for my work and I need to find an answer and there isn't anyone available. So finding ways in which you can incorporate that service level into programs is also crucial.
Yeah. I want to turn our lens a little bit toward the partner. So vendors have an incentive program. The partners are working with anywhere from 5 to 25 different vendors at any given time. Do you have advice for partners on how to get the most out of their incentives so that they are being successful in creating these micro behaviors and then also at the end of the day, getting the incentives?
Yeah. So I think it goes back to kind of self-advocating too. So wherever there is an opportunity for partners to leave feedback for their vendor as a part of participating in the program, please, I encourage every partner to do that. And if a program doesn't have a mechanism for that, start to advocate. I think that partner feedback in whatever form you choose to collect it is just hugely beneficial. Again, of course, to the vendor so that they can continue to evolve their program, but it truly gives a voice and an outlet for a partner. But I also think that comes, sometimes those feedback mechanisms are, quarterly or twice a year. Hopefully they're more than once a year, but along the way, I think it is definitely engaging in your program actively to make sure that you know why activities are being funded, why you're receiving your payments if it's an MDF program, for instance, or any type of incentive-based reward program. As you're watching yourself sort of click through those tiers, know and understand and ask questions if you're not. And then I think that vendors today are doing a really great job of creating those opportunities for learning and training and certifications, of course. So taking advantage of those and then looking to see ways in which you can work together to build your partnership, taking advantage of co-branded content, for instance, or, webinars that you can work with your vendor on or their team on. Those are great ways to continue to make sure that you've got everything that you need to be able to obtain those incentive markers.
Right. We talked a lot about getting partners leveraging incentives to create micro behaviors or helping them create micro behaviors. Just because you build it doesn't mean they'll come. How do you get partners to engage or to understand the benefit? And then we also talked a bit about, the first time you kick it off, you tell the partners about it, but partners are always either being recruited or re-engaging. What's sort of a good communication strategy around an incentive or MDF plan?
Yeah. So, think too about the membership or loyalty programs that you, again, as a human, as an individual, partake in. If we use that lens of loyalty that's driven from sort of our consumer side of the house and apply it to the brand partner relationship, just think about the ways in which you communicate with a brand that you love, right? And if you're a part of their loyalty or incentive program, there's multiple touch points that you have throughout that. Sometimes it's a punch card, when we were physically going into places, right. But it's also an email list that you're on. It's also maybe an app that has a dashboard that you can check into, or it's a community-based application feature that you're involved in. So again, stepping back and looking at it through that loyalty lens, and then saying, how do I adopt some of this to my own partner incentive programs? Think about having multiple touch points. Think about sharing information that will really drive the action or the behavior that you're trying to get your partner to take, and then make sure that it's celebrated, right? So as they attain those levels, whether it's a micro reward or a bigger reward, make sure that you celebrate that and they know that they've achieved that milestone. And, that's all just things that can be done inside and outside of platforms that the partner's already using to ensure that they're partaking in your program fully.
That's great. And it leads me to the next question. Initially we, and when I say we, I mean sort of the IT channel community and maybe specifically the partner relationship, we think about the partner engaging a customer at the beginning of a sale, or at the completion of a sale, I should say. How do you keep that relationship going so that the partner is staying on top of that customer?
Yeah, I really think that's where experience comes into it, right? So that brand partner experience that vendor is trying to create with their partner community, again, should not be overlooked. So if you think about the goals that partner has in driving sales, which are also the vendor's goals, right? The way in which that can come together is to think about incentive programs that might work based on retention goals. So if you already have an end customer from a partner perspective that's super happy with the solution, are there ways in which the vendor can think about helping to have that partner retain that business and to continue to grow it, perhaps by adding or bundling another product or another service? So you're absolutely right. We sometimes think about these incentive programs as, I've got something new to launch into the market. I have a new offering. I need to get my partners on board with it. But it also has great application for helping partners to retain customers that they already have that are already generating revenue.
Right. And aside from certainly revenue and sales are the largest goals, but aside from that, it's building a relationship with partners. So and the partner building a relationship with customers, showing that there's someone actually cares. I always say, you need to show your partners that you give a, that was not bleeped. I actually just didn't say the word. I'm proud of myself. I'm trying to swear less this year, but I think it's super important that you're showing your partners that you understand their business and that your partners are showing the customers that they understand their business.
Yeah, it's about evolving the program and having the partners see a vendor more as like a trusted advisor, and, changing sort of that mindset around how a partner views a vendor. It can have just awesome benefits across the board.
And yet don't look to see benefits in 3 months, right? You need a little bit more historical information.
You absolutely do. And again, think about it as good incentive programs are looking to create behaviors that become habits that sort of stick over the long haul. And that's exactly what you are driving at as a vendor, is a long-term beneficial relationship with your partners. And that does take time. It takes sort of the willingness to stick with it and to let something, again, evolve from an ask to a behavior to a habit, so that everybody can reap the full benefits of it.
Absolutely. Courtney, thank you so much for your insights. It's always great chatting with you. Where can people reach you if they want to connect or get in touch?
Yeah, definitely. I'm super active on LinkedIn, so you can find me on LinkedIn underneath Courtney Jane. Again, my full name is Courtney Jane Acuff.
And thank you all so much for tuning in for another Channel Maven podcast.